you just got your hands on Trials of Mana for the PlayStation 4 or Nintendo Switch and are wondering what party members to use for your first playthrough, don't worry, I got you covered. Today we'll be going over each character's playstyle, their job classes, and I'll also be giving my opinion on what build is absolutely OP, even on hard difficulty. Before we get into each character's playstyle, it's important to understand the class system in this game. Each character has 4 different class tiers, all with different options within each tier. You unlock these tiers as you gain experience and level up. When you unlock a new tier, you have the option of choosing the light path or the dark path. The light path typically follows on support skills such as the buffs and healing, while the dark path has a bigger focus on buffs and offensive skills. It's common to mistakenly build a character that you hate. We've all done it before, and we all wish we could take that character back, and I am here to save you from yourself and keep you on the right path. Let's start with Duran. Duran is your typical sword and shield, high attack, high defense character. What makes Duran such a solid addition to your squad is that he can excel at power or support and is a great fit for each role. Choosing the light path would lead you to a knight. The knight class excels with defense and supports the party with healing. If you want an effective tank, life pathing with Duran is the way to go. With the knight class, he keeps his shield and he also keeps his sword. That way you have a very balanced and effective tank warrior. On the flip side of that, you can ditch the shield completely and go for the brute force of the Dark Path's Gladiators class. With this class, you forego defense for immense strength and also have the ability to grant your weapon elemental damage such as fire, water, earth, and wind, to always attack an enemy's weakness. Continuing on this path will allow you to grant allies weapons elemental damage as well, making Duran an excellent option as a main character or companion. Now let's take a look into Angela, the spell-slinging magician. Angela is a damage-dealing powerhouse. There just isn't any other way to put it. No matter which path you choose, she is all about giving the enemy a hard time. She isn't great at support though, and should be used to cause damage, period. How that damage is caused, however, is all up to you. Angela's light and dark paths are very similar, but they do differ in one major way. The light path leads to Sorceress class, which deals area damage to groups of enemies at a high cost of MP. So this rings true for the other light path classes at higher tiers as well. The dark path classes, however, are the exact opposite. The Mysticist class uses less MP, but targets single opponents. These classes also have access to dark magic and can one-hit kill enemies later in the game. Angela is a fierce character to have in your party, but keep in mind, her early game is brutal.
I actually won, I think.
You will have to rely on her physical attacks until you begin unlocking her arsenal of spellcasts. Next up is the Prince of the Beastmen himself, Kevin. That's right. The heir to the throne of Ferolia, home of the mighty Beastmen. His name is Kevin. Honestly, they do have a very Klingon-esque kind of vibe about them.
By order of the king, the Beastmen forces are hereby sent out to take over human settlements. Our first target is the holy city, Wendell. Yes, sir! Now's our chance to pay back the humans for what they've done.
I would have been completely content if they just renamed him Worf. Regardless of his earthly humanoid name, Kevin does deserve your utmost attention and respect. He does happen to be the highest damage dealing character in the entire game, and it's not even close. Kevin is quite literally a freak of nature in terms of his attack power, and also because at night, the dude turns into a werewolf. And I ain't talking about a Twilight werewolf, I'm talking about American Werewolf in London werewolf. When the sun goes down, Kevin shreds. What's even better is that he has access to his transformation at level 1. At the very start of the game, you can turn him into a werewolf whenever the moon is out, and he does it automatically. Are you already sold? Because he's a gift that keeps on giving. Choosing his light path unlocks the monk class, and as a monk, Kevin gains support abilities such as healing while also being able to cause major damage. If a spell casting werewolf doesn't sound honorable to you, then Kevin's dark path is likely gonna tickle your fancy. Taking the dark path will unlock his brawler class, which is all about causing the most damage in the least amount of time. His attack power goes to Super Saiyan levels to where he could challenge Goku himself. Staying on the dark path will eventually grant you the ability to transform into a werewolf even in the daytime. We'll be getting to my opinion of the absolute hands down best party build shortly, and if this isn't already obvious, Kevin definitely is a part of that team. Coming up next is by far the tiniest playable character in the game, but also voted most likely to keep you alive. Let's check out Charlotte. Charlotte is by far the best healer in the game. Regardless what path you choose, she will always be available to heal and recover your party. Characters like Duran and Kevin are able to take paths that lead them into support roles, but they can't hold a candle to Charlotte. Taking the light path with Charlotte makes her a priestess. She'll be terrible offensively, but amazing at supporting the team with group healing and buffs. She'll be able to add elemental damage to allies' weapons, remove negative effects, and gain access to recovery magic, which constantly heals allies for big chunks of health. Sending her down the dark path will lead her to her Enchantress class. As an Enchantress, Charlotte is a bit braver and has offensive magic meant to deal direct damage to the enemy. She maintains healing spells, but her healing prowess as an Enchantress cannot compare to the Priestess. Even with that being said, however, Charlotte on the dark path is well balanced with healing and offensive magic, and continuing in the dark path will eventually unlock the ability for Charlotte to summon undead allies to fight by your side. Moving on, we'll take a look at Hawkeye, a thief character that uses speed and critical hits to defeat enemies. Hawkeye starts the game with dual daggers that deal critical damage. His moveset includes flailing spins and sweeping kicks, which makes him good for dealing with big crowds with only his normal attacks. When choosing Hawkeye's path, it's best to know exactly what you are getting into because his paths vary. Choosing the light path will grant the Ranger class. This class specializes at setting traps for the enemy, all of which have different effects depending on what type of trap was set. Staying on the light path also grants him the ability to use healing magic and also use range attacks. Choosing the dark path, however, leads to Hawkeye becoming a ninja. And with this path, traps and healing are traded for powerful debuffs. As a ninja, Hawkeye will damage and break enemy armor, poison enemies, and cause havoc with other silent but deadly attacks. Staying on the dark path will grant you powerful AoE attacks to help clear away mobs quickly. Hawkeye can be a great addition to your party, but it's important to think 2 steps ahead when allocating his training points. I would recommend Hawkeye for veteran players, because for a beginner he is very easily broken if not built the proper way for the classes that you will assign him. If all else fails and you're confused with where to place his training points, always place them in luck. It will increase his critical chance and damage per second for critical hits. Last but not least, let's move on to Reese, the trident wielding jack of all trades, Princess of Laurent. Reese excels with her trident and using this reach to keep enemies at bay. She's also the most balanced playable character in the entire game. A jack of all trades, master of none, Reese can fit in any party build if used properly. Emphasis on properly, because like Hawkeye, she can be ruined by poor allocation of training points depending on which classes you choose for. I also only recommend using her if you are already familiar with the game, especially if you plan on playing on hard difficulty. Regardless of her long trident and awesome looking whirlwind ability, Reese is designed to be a support class character by strengthening allies or weakening enemies. Her light path begins with the Valkyrie class. With this class, Reese will do most of her work raising the stats of your party. She will be well paired with a heavy hitter such as Duran or Kevin. The Rune Maiden is the starter class for the dark path, and here Reese prioritizes debuffing the enemy by plummeting their stats and open them up for more critical hits. She is best paired with high luck characters such as Hawkeye and will be able to enhance his critical and multiply his damage per second. Each of her paths also eventually gain access to summoning, which would allow you to call forth a fourth ally to help you in your toughest battles. Now that we've seen all of the characters and a quick glimpse of what they can offer, the question still remains: who should be in your party? Or more importantly, how do you build the most overpowered team possible? Let's start with the best choice for your main character. Did you really expect anyone else? Kevin's insane attack power makes him an obvious choice here, but how do you build him to get the best out of him? First, let's focus on his training points. Straight out of the gate, you want to throw all of your points into his strength. To be truly overpowered, you can't be too balanced. You have to find what a character does best and master it. Prioritize strength, then stamina, and occasionally luck. At level 18, you should now have a great attack, moderate stamina, and a little luck sprinkled in. You also have to now choose your first class. Here you want to take the dark path and become a brawler. The brawler class is all about damage, and although you don't gain any new moves, you do get a huge attack increase and a passive skill that increases your attack if your HP falls below half. Continue to prioritize strength, stamina, and luck up to level 38, where you will be faced with another class change option. Here, you'll want to choose the Fatal Fist class, which has the highest damage output of any class in the game, and on top of that, he also learns the skill to increase critical hits. Mix that with Daylight Werewolf transformation, and Kevin may be able to see you through the entire game alone.
Game over.
This dude could beat the game without any companions with this build. Now that we have our main character, let's check out who should be your first companion. Yes, back to Duran. I know what you're thinking. Make him into a high defense tank. Wrong.
You failed.
Sit down, boy. Ain't nobody worry about defense. We're taking Duran down the same path as our Klingon friend Kev and focusing on damage, also known as damage. Duran would be the best damage doer in the game if Kevin wasn't already so OP. That being said, embrace Duran's strength potential and take him down the dark path and make him a gladiator. Although this class does decrease your defense and you lose your ability to hold a shield, you'll be getting a great attack boost. You'll also complement Kevin with Duran's elemental buffs, giving the party an advantage depending on the enemy's weakness. Kevin has the class strike that is single targeted, so he can only attack one enemy with his class strike. But Duran's class strike is built to clear out mobs with an AoE strike. This way they balance off each other. When allocating training points, stick to the same choices as you would with Kev. Strength, stamina, and sometimes luck. Continue to bank these points until level 38 when your class will evolve yet again. Here you want to stick with the dark path and choose the Dualist. This is Duran's strongest class, second only to Kevin's Fatal Fist class. With the Dualist class, Duran also gains access to dark elemental buffs, making him and his allies even more dangerous than before. So now you pretty much have a heavyweight tag team on roids. Think Brock Lesnar and Goldberg joining forces. Completely unfair. So who would be the best option as companion number 2?
Bruh.
Charlotte. The absolute least intimidating character somehow finds her way with the 2 strongest characters in the game. And also the most OP party build in the game. How? 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 Let's not be disrespectful. Charlotte has her place on any party because she is the best healer in the game. She's the most important piece to this puzzle, in fact. Going all out on attack power has its positives, but not having a great defense can be a tough hill to climb. Defense does win championships, right? But a tight offense with great role players can achieve the same goals. Charlotte is that role player. While Duran and Kevin are scoring all the points, Charlotte will be their Gatorade and keeping them healed from afar. When allocating Charlotte's training points, heavily focus on spending points into her spirit stat. If you begin to run into trouble with her taking damage or wanting HP boost, drop some points into her stamina as well. When she reaches level 38 and can class upgrade, there are 2 choices that benefit to this OP party build. Her high Cleric class has the best healing spells available and also unlocks a light elemental buff for fighting the undead. Adding the light elemental buff from Charlotte and Duran's elemental buffs that he has access to will give you access to all elemental buffs in the game if you choose to go with Charlotte's high Cleric class. While her healing with this class is unmatched, it's strictly single targeted. Another great option, however, would be the Sage class. This class upgrades Charlotte's support skills to be party target to heal or buff the party entirely with one spell. Whichever choice you make here, you can't go wrong. Also, always set Charlotte as companion 2 to ensure that you have a full party when fighting the first boss. And there you have it, a guide for all playable characters and how to make a completely unstoppable team even on the hardest difficulty. Before you leave, I don't want you to like or comment. I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe or hit that little bell. All I will ask is that you share this video with a friend. That will help me out in the best of ways. Thanks for watching. Let's go!